And I said, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, 1.83's live. And I said, hey, yeah, yeah. Oh, hello there! Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. Welcome to a live look at 1.83 Masters of the Sea. A plethora of premiums coming with this update. A multitude of vessels, vehicles, and wonderful craft of various shapes, sizes, and orientations. We got us some RussianTechTree.com, but even more exciting, here is the British naval packages. Yes. You can buy your way into British Boaty Boys CBT, but I'm still working on my Americanos here. And let's just start off with my favorite nation on account of the diversity of vehicles and just the all-around classiness of design, the American forces. So, because this is 1.83, let's take a look at naval. And just a moment here while I pull up the old switchery doodah here, getting the YouTube going on the cell phone. I hear Tank Baby letting me know. Yeah, you can just go away, YouTube advertisement. Tank Baby is letting me know that it is not nap time, but I think it is, so I'm gonna let her stay there for a little while. Everyone else is enjoying boats, and I'm here in school, says Derpy Boy. Well, you'll be able to enjoy it through me by watching this live stream after it gets saved. So hopefully you're on your lunch break or something. Okay, first off, we're going to look at the premiums for the Americans, because I think that's the only new... Oh, there we go. There's also the Summer Double D 692 Destroyer. And what's the difference here? It looks like we have 3 127 doubles. Okay, not bad at all. And it looks like 2 mounted in the front, and then I suppose 1 would be in the rear. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So here's the new American Destroyer. I didn't hear any hype on this, but it looks absolutely stunning. So here you see the 2 double 127s. This will be great for bow tanking. Let's see if it has any armor. It does! 19 millimeters of anti-fragmentation armor and 6 millimeters on the guns, so they're going to be fairly exposed there. What else do we have? We have more armor model in the game. That's great. We have some deck armor here, 13 millimeters, and some side belt armor here, 19 millimeters. Let's take a look at the citadels real quick. So the belt armor would appear to be protecting the water line, which is important to prevent flooding, and also the ammunition storage here. So that will protect you from several types of high explosive round. But if we look at the HE, we're looking at 35 millimeters of pen for the HE on this one, which is not bad at all. And also, the explosive mass is modeled on the high explosive rounds now. So let's take a look at that. This is new information. TNT equivalent on the radar round is 3.22 kilograms, and TNT equivalent on the non-radar round is 3.22 kilograms. So effectively the same. It would appear that there's no special reason to not bring the radar rounds now. I wondered about that, and I did some testing myself before they showed the explosive mass, and I came to that conclusion that they have effectively the same effect, and it was a pretty weak effect when I was testing it before the patch dropped. So we'll have to check that out as well, but that's coming in the future. Again, to come back to these double mounts in the front, this is a huge change from the Fletcher class destroyer. Let's see, Derpy Boy, so tell me, how long are the usual queue times for naval? Before the patch dropped, it was about 5 minutes on average before you would get into a match. But then if you jumped right back into a match after that one finished, you'd usually get right into one. So like 5 to 7 minutes for your first match if you're in arcade. And then longer if you're doing RB. Total Biscuit, Tactical Biscuit says hi. Good to see you, but Total Biscuit will not be messaging me. Rest in peace. And then Derpy Boy says, good morning. Indeed, good morning. So these double mounts will help you to be aggressive while you're pushing toward the enemy. This is a great supplement to the Fletcher class, which is much more effective in a broadside. So this one would be more of a battle destroyer where you're coming toward the enemy, using your armor here at just a slight angle and then keeping these guns on target. And that could be enough to bounce some armor-piercing rounds and at least defray the impact of high explosive rounds, even though that 19mm isn't going to stop larger high explosive guns. It should absorb some of the spalling, so that will be meaningful. And look at that awesome little lifeboat. There's so many things to look at here. We have some double 40 mounts here, so there's a pair of double 40s here, a pair of double 40s. I think that's double 40s. Yeah, double 40s, and then 2 quad 40 mounts and 2 double 40 mounts. So these would be the quad 40s. You'll have 6 40mm cannons pointing on one side and then 6 pointing to the other. And then for the skies, you can just blanket the skies with 40mm fire. This should have those powerful secondaries like you see on the Fletcher class, with perhaps an improvement to main gun firepower, but definitely an improvement to frontal firepower. So this is a battle destroyer, if you will, the equivalent of a destroyer version of the battle cruiser. We see these torpedo racks are almost the same as they are on the Fletcher. So all in all, this would be a slight improvement, I would say, with moderately more armor and about double the frontal firepower of your typical Fletcher class destroyer. A great supplement to the destroyer line. What else do we have that's new for the Americans? Looks like it's all premiums. So we have the Elco PT556 at 3.0 with a 37mm main gun autocannon, for a quad 20mm on the back. That is just going to be incredible. And then a single 20, a couple of double 50s as you're used to seeing on the American vessels, and 4 torpedoes. Again, this is your typical PT boat, Elco PT, great max speed, and this one is upgunned with a quad 40 on the back. That should be exciting to see. PT 109 is a special thing for me because I was an early adopter. And then you have the 58-foot PT3 at an entry-level premium for the Americans at 250 Golden Eagles. It's just a little squirt of money to pick this up, and that'll really help you with your low-rank grinding. Ooh, just noticed, 262 subs. I know! I should make an ME262 video. It's really exciting, Derp Tank. I don't know why people have been subbing to me, but they have, and it's just been exciting. So, to the Americans, let's see. This one has 2 50 cal machine guns and 2 torpedoes. So this is actually weaker than the Higgins as far as firepower, which gets... well, actually, it's the equivalent of the Higgins. My mistake. But if we look at max speed, this one goes 34 miles per hour. This one goes 45. So the Higgins is a bit quicker. Let's see if there's anything that would make up for... Oh, it does. Because it's so sleek. Look at this thing with its, like, burnished brass torpedoes. I think that would be bronze, but whatever. Look at that. And they're rear launching, and then they would go under the boat. And it looks like a little Steamboat Willie. It's got this enclosed hull. Just really cool. And look at that neat, just a little wood wicker basket that the gunners stand on. A little toot toot magoot horn there. This is just a neat looking vessel. So what it lacks in firepower, it makes up for in style points. And then you see the crew. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then gunners 5 and 6. Crew is up to 12. So there's 6 more crews somewhere in here. Oh, there's a little guy doing his taxes down here in the basement. Okay. So between Wells Fargo and the Gunners, you're looking at a total of 12 crew, which is not bad. Any armor on this bad boy? No armor is modeled on this vehicle. But you do have some internal components here, like that radio station that could potentially soak up some shots. But in general, look at these engines too. These giant boiler fuel tanks, and then 2 very large engines that don't have their statistics modeled yet. But just as you're used to seeing now with naval vessels, it's a beautiful, beautiful design. PT-3 is a sleeky boy. You're absolutely right. I don't think this is going to be the most powerful vehicle in the game, but if you're looking to buy a starter to help you grind with the Americans, this thing is just classy as heck. I mean, look at this polished chrome whistly do. I don't even know what this is, but it's polished chrome and it's gorgeous. This is a beautiful, beautiful vessel. So that's it for the Americans. Let's move on to the German naval forces. Yeah, and jawohl, they have a new destroyer as well. So we'll take a quick look at this one. This is very exciting. Sorry if I get a bit distracted, because this is just, I mean, look at this. Look at the beauty of these models. I am geeking out. I am freaking out. So you have 3 rear main guns at 128 millimeters, nothing new, and 2 frontal guns. So this does not have the frontal power. This would be a broadside buoy, which means that this is a huge target. I mean, compare this profile, which you would do with the American destroyer that we just looked at, with a big ol' this profile that you would be rocking with this one if you want to maximize your firepower. A lot more vessel exposed. You'd be a lot more vulnerable to high explosive hits this way, but with changes to the way that armor-piercing rounds are supposedly going to work, with fragmentation and even fragmentation of the warhead as it travels through bulkheads here and internal modules, just spraying a cloud of destruction as it travels. It may not be such a good idea to bow tank, but we will see when we get into some actual combat. Probably not today, because Tank Baby's starting to get mad at me, and I'm going to have to wrap this up. Armor, essentially none. There's some around the guns, but not enough to really do anything. And the citadels are in the usual place, with critical components and ammunition stored below the waterline. So your targets are going to be roughly the same. When it comes to this one, it's nothing new in the German tree as far as I can see so far. You see you have a couple of double 37s and then 6 20mm flak cannons for anti-air / secondary fire and 8 torpedoes. So this is really not nearly as exciting as the American version. It's kind of dingy, but in a sort of glorious German gray kind of way that you could become enamored with. But this is not the powerhouse that it appears the Americans' new destroyer is. But let's talk about the Type M 1943. This is it appears to be a weaponized tugboat here. So it's a heavier ship, a sub-destroyer, you might say, sub-chaser kind of deal. We have 2 105mm cannons, 2 37 flak mounts, 2 double 20s, and 4 individual 20s, as well as 2 torpedoes. We'll see here mounted akimbo, as you see in the sides of the vessel. It's going to be hard to get those torpedoes on target, but if you launch them early or turn and launch at the last second into an enemy destroyer, they could be the difference between life and death when it comes to facing those very large vehicles. When it comes to taking down PT boats, your 105mm cannons won't be quite as useful as your 2 37mm flak guns in general, but we'll have to see. Again, supposedly a feature akin to hull break will be introduced for smaller vessels, So maybe those 105 cannons will be able to one-shot derp things like PT boats, which is actually really important. So we'll see. There are changes coming to the naval meta, and I have yet to explore those. So some of these tactical advice that I'm giving may be a bit off. Let's keep her going here. Also, one thing to note is the max speed on this is only 16.3 miles per hour. You're going to be quite a bit less maneuverable than the PT boats you'll be facing. You'll have less firepower and survivability than the destroyers you will be probably fairly frequently facing, with a 3.3 battle rating getting pulled up into the much more popular 4.3 bracket. So the trick with this one is to spawn where the little boats spawn and then just roll into a capture point and hold it and destroy every small vessel that comes your way, and hopefully avoid encountering a destroyer. That would be the advice for this one. Could be quite good, or it could be just destroyed by everything. We'll have to see. Other than that, the Germans also get the LS-4. We'll take a look at this little boy. This is nothing new to people who have played the beginner Germans. Instead of the 15mm autocannon, it gets a 20mm, but it still is stuck with a skeleton crew of 7, a really high speed, which is its only real defense, and a couple of rear launch booty torpedoes that you see here, with a very short range but a very high speed, as you see 46 miles per hour in the water, with plenty of kaboom to back that up. This is a kamikaze boat. It has less firepower than most of the boats it faces, the lowest survivability of anything in the game, and a couple of really fast torpedoes that can be fired one at a time, so you have 2 shots to shotgun any larger enemy ships. This is a boat for daredevils. This is a boat for insane tactical play, and again, not it has the least survivability of anything in the game. You're basically a Baneling or a Zergling when you're in this thing. You need to rush or die, or rush and die. There's nothing else. Let's see what's new for the USSR. Starting off as you do with the destroyers, they do not have any new destroyers, so that's too bad for them. However, they get the Project 191, which has an 85mm Zis C-53 cannon, which I already tested out a little bit on the Project 186 here, which is an upgraded version of a similar design. So to go back to the 191 in the regular tech tree, at a battle rating 2.3, it will not face destroyers, which is quite good for it, considering it has an 85mm cannon. And again, hull break is coming to the smaller vessels. We'll see if an 85 high explosive is enough to take them down. 2 double Dishka machine guns, which shouldn't be new information to anyone. And then taking a look, it is as you would suppose. Let's take a look at the armor. 7 mils here, which is enough to, under the right circumstances, deflect some machine gun or even heavy machine gun fire. Perhaps a few cannon rounds as well, although you see the upper hull here is not armored. It's merely at the waterline and in the central portions of the ship. The con tower, it has 14.3mm of armor, which is decent, and the turret has 30mm for the most part, which is quite good for this battle rating. Although it should be noted, it doesn't have armor right here in the tower. That's just a hole in the armor. So if you can hit the turret in the turret ring, you can take it down as though it were an American tank. What else do we have here? A Citadel for days. So the best way to take this thing out is to shoot right through this unarmored hull and go straight into the ammo storage. If you blow that up, you should just completely destroy the vessel. So aim your guns right for the front of this thing. If you're looking at the side view, here's the armor belt. You want to hit right below this life preserver and cease to preserve the lives of the crew of this poor vessel. Where are the Dishkas? So It looks like we have a double Dushka turret here, which is just awesome, and another double Dushka turret here. This looks like a steampunk dream. It really is just a neat, cool design. It looks like a river ship because of its low profile and this flat deck here. Like it's not designed for. What are these bulges? What is that? Anyway, that's this. This is that. This odd riverboat turned monitor lizard. And that's really all I have to say about that. A decent amount of armor on this beast, and with an 85mm cannon with a decent fire rate at the low BR of 2.3, this thing could be a monster, backed up by some armored turrets with double Dushkas. But again, if you know where that weak spot is, that's the place to take this thing out. Because it does have a crew of 14, that's not the most survivability, but again, look at this huge ammo rack. You want to shoot right below these life preservers or straight through the upper part of the front here, and you should be able to take it down. We'll have to see how many machine gun rounds it would take to set off that ammo rack, but I get the feeling this thing is going to eat PT boats for breakfast unless they use their torpedoes to take it down, and in that case I think any hit from a torpedo should destroy this vessel. But if you need to aim somewhere, there you go, right under those life preservers. Thank you for putting those there so we know where your ammo rack is. Similar, we have the premium Project 186 Mark 85 MK. I don't know what the MK stands for. I don't think it's Machine Canona in this case. The IS-4 is a relatively small boy. Yeah, you're right. So let's look at the Project 186, which, as you see, is basically an upgunned version of the previous ship that we looked at. This one having two 85mm turrets, bumping it up to a 1 higher battle rating. You have the double Dushkas off to the side to make room for, is that a 37? Yes, it is a 37 millimeter autocannon. So you have more secondaries. Your AA is about the same, and you have double the main gun firepower, but again, you're going to have to engage in a broadside to get both of those guns to bear because of all this stuff centrally mounted. This is about, you're going to be pretty much a full-on broadside before you can get those targets on, or guns on target. And at 3.3, you could potentially face destroyers. Let's look at your speed. 13.9 miles per hour. You're rather slow. You're a rather large profile, so when it comes to taking this thing down, again, we look at the X-ray, and here your ammo racks are stored below the waterline in a much more compact storage, as you see off to the left and right here. So this would be much more survivable than the previous model. It looks like the rear turret has more ammunition stowage around it, so I would aim for the rear, just below the rear turret, if you want to take this vessel down from the side, which is how you're likely to face this, as they'll want to use both of these guns in a broadside. Or if you're facing this from the front, it'll be somewhat more difficult of a challenge. You may want to take down this turret before going on to other targets, but if you aim for this general area and then go off to the sides for the ammo racks, that could be the ticket. Now, crew 42. Significantly more crew and thus survivability on this vessel. This is a serious upgrade over its previous counterpart when it comes to that, but there is the issue that there's no frontal armor above the waterline at all on the front of this vessel, and there's only 4 millimeters here, which shouldn't be enough to block even machine gun fire with armor-piercing rounds. So when it comes to taking this thing down from the front, aim for here or here. If you look at the way that would look as the vessel's coming toward you, just off to the sides, you just want to spray in this direction until you find that ammo rack over here and over here. From the broad side, you want to aim under this turret. So if we look at the X-ray, yeah, all this under here, in this whole area here, is ammunition. And if we look at armor, there's actually 30 millimeters here, so you need to use a heavy cannon to get through that. If you need to So yeah, that's actually going to be quite the challenge. But at 3.3 battle rating, you should have ways of defeating this. Again, a torpedo should take this down. There's so much ammo underneath these turrets that you should be able to detonate some of that if you hit anywhere in this area here or this area here. So hit or aim for around the turrets if you can aim with your torpedoes, and that would be the way for a smaller vessel to take this down. Again, it only has around 14 miles per hour of speed, so this thing is going to be a lumbering beast along the lines of the German Flakturm, the flak barge. So that is that. Looks like it could be a really fun vehicle in the game, following along the lines of several other Soviet river tanks that we've seen in the past. And with 30 millimeters of Citadel armor in the central portions of the vessel, in a broadside, which appears to be this thing's forte, this can be very difficult to penetrate with light cannons or heavy machine guns. Other premiums that the Russians get is the Project 123K A11 with two 14.5 millimeter machine guns and a couple of torpedoes, with, I believe that's actually a hydrofoil with a top speed of 51 miles per hour, so not bad. But one downside to the hydrofoil is they lose a lot of speed when they lose speed, and they turn extremely sluggishly. And of course, if you drop speed, you drop down into the water, and you have to go back up into hydrofoil mode again. It really does make aiming the guns difficult as well. And with only two cannons, or two heavy machine guns, you're really relying on your only two torpedoes to make a difference. And at battle rating 2.0, there's probably some more powerful vessels out there, but top speed is useful for things like capping points, which is actually how you win matches in this game. So the G5 Schwack is just like the other G5 as far as I can tell, only instead of heavy machine guns, you get a single Schwack 20 millimeter, which is a very powerful weapon, as we all know. But of course, at battle rating 1.0 and with a crew of 6, well, you're the probably second least survivable vehicle in the naval forces. So that is that. But again, at 250 golden eagles, it's a nice little squirt of money into the game if you want to help yourself progress through the first rank of Soviet naval vessels. To get into the British, everything is new. It really is too much to cover in just one look. So we'll look at the Fairmile D. It is a gunboat at battle rating 3.7. Motor torpedo boat, they call it. But you see it gets two 57 millimeter 6-pounder cannons. It gets a double 20 millimeter turret. It gets two double 50s. It gets two double 7.7 Vickers. And oh, the 50 cals are Vickers as well, so they're more of a potato digger, deca, as opposed to a blah 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 kind of American gun, or a kind of Soviet gun. Just for reference there. War Thunder Anonymous, is it free now? Naval forces are in open beta test, so you should be able to play the Americans, the Germans, and the Soviets without paying any money. Get on the seas, get in those battles. If you want to know, watch some of my older naval videos. It's really, really fun. And just for reference, here's some replays that I can't use anymore. But I can't even look at the stats? That sucks. I got, I think it was around 10 kills and 9 kills and then another 10 kill match. And I have this one called Fox and the Hen House because I got my destroyer into the area where the enemy's small boats were operating, and I just destroyed every single one of them. And I was like dodging torpedoes and just wrecking things with the secondary guns, which is the best way to take out PT boats in a destroyer. At least then it was. We'll have to see. Again, there's some changes coming to large caliber rounds. Man, I just can't wait to test all this stuff out. But for now, I'm just taking a look at it with you guys. So let's get into a different tech tree. Let's look at aviation. Let's see if the Americans got anything new. I'm not seeing anything. I know the Germans got something new, and I need to spend some money because it looks really, really great. This is the Junkers 288C. Let's bring this bad boy into a preview. So right away, you notice the interesting design features of this aircraft. That's right, these are not radial engines. These are paired inline engines, as you see here, just like you have in the Heinkel 219 Greif, or is it Henschel? I don't know. HE 219. And the cockpit looks like the Xenomorph from Alien, so that's actually the reason I have to buy this. And you see a double heavy machine gun mount here, a double heavy machine gun mount here, with extreme arcs of fire. Again, the same down on the rear of the plane, and this is a 20mm mount that has absolutely insane angles of attack where you can point almost directly up and quite far down. Let's see if it tells us in the X-ray. Yeah, horizontal guidance plus or minus 60 degrees, so that's 120 degrees total, covering the tail, and vertical guidance plus or minus 45 degrees. 45 degrees of gun depression, can you imagine? So this thing can aim quite extremely. Fuel tanks and wing spars, you can see, fairly well spaced around. This aircraft is basically made out of fuel, but we'll see how that works out in the end, if it's extra armor or if it's a liability, as these are self-sealing tanks. A little bit of armor, but not enough to really matter at a battle rating of 5.3. What you're really counting on is these big engines to protect you. I've noticed also that this craft has a lot of maneuverability, and if you look here in the wings, these little slats are actually dive brakes. So this thing has an air brake. This is a dive bomber, because the Germans are crazy. And then the bomb bay is here. And if we look at the modifications, you have a choice of 36 50 kilo bombs, which is not bad at all for carpet bombing. This could be the best loadout to have for ground strike in Air RB, which is still viable at 5.3 if you don't constantly get jumped by things like the Wyvern. But again, you have those defensive guns. So we'll see if that's actually useful for you. Excuse me. I caught some death in my throat. And I'd love to see a buff of bomber damage models to where they're generally not so easy to just destroy, because their parts fly off a bit too easily. I think just having small machine gun fire tear off your tail at the root, it seems a little extreme. But that's not so much of a problem for this aircraft because, again, it has a good speed and a lot of power in its engines. Of course, at 5.3, it's going to face some things that are much faster than it, but for a bomber, it's quite zippy, as well as having some great defensive guns. 8 250s, that's not bad at all, but let's just get down to the good stuff. 2 1,800 kilo bombs. Is that enough to take down 2 bases? I think maybe at that battle rating. I'm not the best person to ask. But in Tank RB, can you imagine what a roughly 2,000 kilogram bomb, having 2 of them, 1,000 kilograms of explosive mass. Radius of fragmentation, 229 meters. Radius of total destruction, 34 meters. So 90 feet of everything in this radius will probably die. And then 600, 700 feet of sending flak into lightly armored vehicles. potentially hull breaking them. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So the destructive force of those bombs is definitely something to be reckoned with. And you can watch other people fly this thing. It really is. I have to buy this. It's very expensive at 4,880 golden eagles. I guess people thought the price was a little extreme at 5,000 golden eagles, so Gaijin graciously dropped it by 120. But whatever. I think I need to buy this anyway. Maybe they put the 2 8s in the price because it's the Junkers 288, so they made it 2 times 2,000 plus 88. See the 88 in there? I think that's kind of clever. Maybe that's why they did it. But anything else new for the Germans? I think no. But there are a few German airplanes to play around with since the past few patches, so that's kind of interesting. Anything for the Soviets? Niet. The British, bollocks. Would we expect any love for the Japanese? No, I don't see anything. Apologies if I missed something. And I think that's just about it. I think the French actually get something as well. Yeah, the MB175T. That's a thing. So another Martin Baker, light bomber, medium bomber, perhaps. Battle rating 3.3, a couple of 20 mils, so not bad. With a brace of rockets, which I thought you called it a bomber, but maybe I was wrong. And a 20 millimeter turret, MG151, facing the rear, so that's kind of interesting. Could this play like an IL-2 at the same battle rating? We'll have to see. So that's it for aircraft, and Tank Baby is really trying to convince me it's not nap time. So let me just wrap this up. The Americans get a new T-32, which is a straight improvement over the old one at the same battle rating. There's no reason not to research this. You know what? Let's go ahead and start our research there, just so we're sure to do that. And the only real difference between the two vehicles, as far as I can tell, is this has much more effective frontal armor here on the upper glacis. And there might be some other slight differences as well. Let's see, this is 95 millimeters, and then if we look at the regular T-32 customization armor, this one is the same. So the main difference would be, instead of cast armor, you have rolled homogeneous at a better angle and the same thickness. So effectively, much more effective armor, which does make quite the difference at this battle rating. Although you can now face things like Heat FS fairly frequently, this is still a lot better than the cast armor it had before. And as before, you have that very effective turret armor that can make a big difference, and a reasonably reliable high velocity 90mm cannon that is better at a lower battle rating, but even at 7.0, 8.0, you can make some things happen. So that is what the Americans get. Do they have anything else as far as new ground forces? I don't see anything. Let's check the Germans. Did I hear about anything coming up for them? Not really. I know that the Russians, the Soviets, get the BV upgrade for the, which one is it? The T-80. So we'll look at that modification. T-80B gets the Contact 1 upgrade, making it the T-80BV, and you see it adds some mass. Yeah, and then you get some Contact 1 ERA. So hooray! Oh, what's that? That is the reason that I had to go to marriage counseling. No, just kidding. Just kidding. She's been through it before. Okay, Army, the British, nothing. Japanese, didn't they get something? Did they get? Yes! I forgot about this. The most ridiculous 8,000 golden eagles you can spend for the Type 75 at 8,200 golden eagles. Let's You know what? Let's test drive this bad boy. I could talk about it, but I'd rather show you through the power of interpretive dance. Okay, gotta go, says Derp Tank. Alright, man, enjoy art class, draw something for me. I really wish that I'd spent more time drawing when I was in school. I love drawing. I picked up an art class later on in life and drew naked people, and it was really cool, and it wasn't awkward at all. Okay, what do we have here? So I've heard that the velocity on these rockets is extremely improved. Now at 700 some meters per second, which is roughly the velocity of a M4 Sherman's main gun, if I recall correctly, or the velocity of the main guns on the American destroyers, give or take around 100 meters per second. So look at how flat these fly, much easier to aim, as you see, and our fire rate is nothing to scoff at. So this, you know, at medium ranges, this, or close to medium range, this thing can be really deadly. As you see, the increased velocity really is a game changer. Look at that. It's just very natural to fire this thing. And we've taken down a plethora of vehicles already at or around our battle rating. This is a force to be reckoned with. So that's very, very interesting. Let's see if we can get this last target. Can we get him? I think we're still above him. We have 4 more rockets. That one was in front of him. Come on, buddy. Yeah, whatevs. Okay, so you see that at close to medium range, this thing can deal some serious damage. Is it going to be a meta vehicle? I think no way. Not a chance. No visible ammunition storage, although you do get a reload when you're playing an arcade, so there is that. This vehicle, because it has its ammunition stored above the main chassis of the vehicle, you could hide behind a low obstruction and play as though you're an IT-1 with unguided munitions. Go into artillery mode here. And there will probably be custom sights coming out for this. Imagine, you see, someone shooting APDS couldn't shoot over this. Say the T-64 has no shot on me. But can we get a shot on the T-64? Let's find out. We're above him. We're significantly above him. So that went over. That went over. That did not. You cannot. Okay, when can we get over this obstacle? Pretty late. So you would have to peek in this kind of a situation, I think. Anyway, this is that. That is this. You see that you have quite a bit more. Ooh, this should be fun. This is a meme machine. Look at that. My first shot went almost right to him. Ah, and we take him down. So this will not take long to get on target at anything under a kilometer. Look at that. First shot. So again, I mean, that's a T-64 BV. So, or a T-64B with the ERA. So this vehicle does have a place in the game, and it really comes down to the velocity of these rockets. You can spam them. They're easy to aim. If you had fun with other rocket vehicles, this will be the best performing rocket vehicle you have, but keep this in mind. It faces the toughest vehicles that you will face in a Rocket Boy. In its current state, would I take this over the other derp tank of 7.0, the British Centurion Mark V Avery? Yes, absolutely. Because the Avery has armor, but it has a much lower fire rate and it really comes down to this actually has a higher muzzle velocity, a much better performance at medium range, and with practice you could be good at this with long range. You know, before the flight speed of this thing's rockets was 700 meters per second, it was nothing to me. It was 300 meters per second, quite a lot of drop off, only useful at short, the barest of medium ranges. This is good around half a kilometer to even 1.5 kilometers. If you know how to use it, you can instinctively aim and shoot and hit your targets. And if you hit with one shot, there's 30 more coming down the pipe within the next 2 seconds. You know, so it's just it's pretty crazy. So viable. Honestly, if it cost less, I would pick it up myself. I might have to pick it up when it goes on sale, because it's going to be just hilarious. And I don't have the Ho-Re prototype. I do have the Ho-Re production and the Type 60, and there's a great derp squad to back that up with, and with some absolutely fantastic aviation at 7.0 with the new and improved Kika from the last patch that is just a delight to fly now, not to mention the fact that I have the best custom camo for this thing. Look at that squid girl. So I could go full anime. Yeah, I need to mow some lawns so I can spend some golden eagles on this stuff. Honestly, I didn't expect this to be so awesome, but really the Type 75 could be the star of this patch for me. I'm really going to have to consider between buying this and buying that really cool German JU-288. The JU-288 is just really cool, and it does sit at a battle rating that I'm more comfortable with. So let's take another look at this beauty. JU-288C, 4,880 golden eagles. I think I have around 1,000 golden eagles worth of Gaijin coins right now, so I might have to pick this up today. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's live broadcast. I've just been covering the 1.83 vehicles and what I think about them. I want to do a What's Still Fun episode to show you what I've been enjoying using, and that is coming soon. Let's switch that over to realistic battles. But the 6-7 German lineup is still a lot of fun. You can see I've been working on my CAS, trying to get into the air and have some fun there. And maybe the Heinkel 162 Salamander could be a little bit of fun in Tank RB, but it's not really fun anywhere else. So I'm not holding out hope. I've been having a lot of fun with the Americans in general. Recently, I was just having a blast in naval battles, and arcade battles is what I would have recommended before, because not a lot of people were playing realistic or arcade, so it's much easier to get into a match in arcade. And actually, I kind of like the mechanics in arcade as well. The aiming is a whole lot simpler, and torpedoes reload on the water, which is a huge advantage for everybody. And I was doing some awesome things with torpedoes. I was just launching this wave of death, spreading out my torpedoes early in the match, and then maneuvering around and shutting down entire lanes with torpedoes. And I would pick up a kill like 6 minutes into a match after I'd already died. You know, I'd pick up a kill from a torpedo that just randomly hit somebody. So good things. And of course, in arcade you can spam that way more than you can in realistic. You don't have to go to a cap zone to replenish your torpedoes. So all in all, I've been really, honestly, I think that Naval Forces is the most fun game mode for me, and I really look forward to people coming into it. This update has opened up the floodgates, as it were, and it's just going to be a blast to see how that works out. It sounds like Tank Baby has actually fallen asleep, which is what we were going for here. It only took her like, what, half an hour? So it is nap time, so it's good for her to take a nap now. She's all comfy in her crib. She was just trying to, she's been trying to convince me that she doesn't need to sleep, and it's not really working. Because I know she gets grumpy for no reason. I'm like, you need a nap. And she's like, no. She doesn't say no, though. She goes, nah, 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 nah. It's pretty cute. And then she squirms. She's a squirmer. I'll be holding her and I'll put one hand on her, around her shoulders, and the other hand right on her hip. And 7 years studying the martial arts has taught me all kinds of small joint manipulation and body control technique, and I have to use all of it to hold on to my baby while she's squirming because she doesn't want to take a nap. Then she just lays there and complains. So, what do you mean that's just like the War Thunder forums? You guys need a nap. You are grumpy. But no, I'm actually really excited about the economy changes to War Thunder are a huge encouragement to me, and this opening up of the floodgates to everyone to come and join naval forces, a huge amount of love has gone into this project. Let's just look at the cowl again. This thing is so beautiful. If you're looking for a premium to grind out the American tree, I cannot recommend the cowl enough. The Fletcher class destroyer is a fantastic vessel in general. Let's see if we have any armor modeled now. Yeah, it's thin armor here, but the equipment on this ship is just really good. The 40mm Bofors, they shred things. I've talked a lot about this in my other naval videos, so you can look those up if you're interested. But overall, the American tech tree is looking great with the new addition of a great new 7.0 heavy tank. You know, we needed more rank 4 heavy tanks. What do you mean? Shut up, Japan. Nobody loves you. Yeah, desu. But this thing looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun, like a ridiculous amount of fun. Are you going to be an APDS Heat FS hull break magnet? Yes, but one thing. If the detonation of your rockets does not destroy your vehicle, that'll be pretty awesome. Celeste Orsa says, play with the ship. Come on. You know what? Since you asked so nicely, let's play a battle. So let's go into arcade battles because it's easier to find a match, and let's see what people are doing. Let's get into things. So we're gonna start with the cowl and see what happens. And I'm going to try and be ooh, look, there's a little boaty boat. There's a boaty boat now. They changed the wait timer for naval because they know you're going to be looking at it for 10 minutes. So let's see what the queue is doing. Yeah, it's pretty dead. But again, we'll get into a match eventually, so we'll just hang out. The cowl is just as great as it always has been. Let's look at fleet and see where I'm going here. I'm just getting into the second rank, and really I've been focusing on just playing my destroyer since the reset and getting back some progress. But the Sumner DD692 looks like it's going to be a really, really cool destroyer. A battle destroyer, if you will. Roughly equivalent to the Fletcher, but with a focus on forward firepower, so you can do that bow tanking and improved belt armor over the Fletcher. Top speed of 34 compared with the Fletcher's stock top speed of 35. So really doesn't lose anything for that increased frontal beefiness. What else you trade for that? Who's to say? Alrighty, here we are getting into a battle. We're gonna start and push toward the C point just in time to launch some torpedoes, and then we're gonna head in for the backside here and try and do the old reach around in between B and A and kill as many little boaty boats as we can. We'll see how that works out for us. So loadouts. We get depth charges. These are new. We didn't have those before. I'm gonna have to check the controls for launching depth charges. I knew that we had the racks, and now we get some depth charges. That's delightful. Look at that. So where are they? R is. Oh, are they forward launch? Where are they? R. R? Why does R also launch torpedoes? So there's my depth charge. Launches from the front. I'm not sure where that depth charge launches from. I'm a bit confused, so we'll have to play with that in the future. And here we are launching a wave of death, And we're done. And we'll drop a smoke screen because we can. So there's where we're headed, toward the B and the A point. Keeping small ships off of the capture points is the way to win a match, or alternatively to be a small ship and get into those capture points. Let's switch to high explosive and see how that performs against smaller boats if we can. Can we shoot over the island? Yes, we can. And the Fletcher, as usual, very good in a broadside. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where those depth charges launch from, but we get them. Launching some torps. Now we're picking on the small craft. Oh, just shredding them with those 40s. Oh, Tank Baby's waking up. Oh, it's just disgusting what you can do to these things. So this is how to get like a ridiculous amount of kills in boats right now. If I could actually hit anything. Oh, the damage. Okay, yeah, this is just a wolf in the hen house now. This is a slaughter. So this is what it's like when you get into. Then you really might know what it's like to have to lose. Look at this. Just a slaughter. You cannot. Secondaries, my boys. Secondaries. So, that was the enemy team. Oh, disgusting. Disgusting! Oh, this is gonna hurt me. This is gonna hurt me. Alay! Nicely done, G5. But not before 11 naval kills and 3 aircraft kills. That is disgusting. Disgusting! So that's what happens when you get a destroyer into where the the beginners are spawning. And yet, our team is not necessarily holding the field. So there is that. Okay. That was just gross. Let's look at our score. 15,000 damage, 3,000 score, 11 boats, and 3 aircraft. Just vicious, brutal beating of underaged watercraft. You can see, you can spot torpedoes in the water before you zoom in, before they get manually spotted. There is a friendly destroyer following in my example. Kill assist, I'll take it. B-25. You cannot. Enemy destroyer. That's going to be a problem for us. Okay. Oh, I-185 gets us with a nice bomb. Want to play some aircraft? Let's do it. Bombs, by the way, a lot more effective than torpedoes for taking down enemy ships while still surviving. Altitude is life in these aircraft. So let's see if we can demonstrate that here with the BTD. I'm going to go grab Tank Baby while we climb into the AO. So hopefully we won't die. I'll be back in a minute. Diaper. Hi, guppy. Hi. Hi, baby. Okay. Oh! Looks like... Yeah. What is it, guppy? Nice. Hi, baby. Ha ha ha! Gotcha! Yeah, Chippies, you want your tablet? You want your tablet? Yeah, you want your tablet. Ready? Hold on, I'm stalling here. U-P-P-Y. There you go. There you go! Okay. My goodness. Look at that. Even though we are fighting as the heroes of old. A P-47. Does he want to play with me? Nobody wants to play with me! Ah! Woohoo! 4 air kills. 11 Bodhi boats annihilated. We got us some RP.com. Oh man, we were definitely picking on small, undersized vessels there, and if our team had managed to clinch a win out of that one, we would have gotten a lot more RP out of that, as you know, as you do. But there you go, Celeste, Orsa. That is how to get ridiculous rewards out of destroyers. It is kind of a D-bag move to go into where the little boats are and take them down, but I really feel like that is the best support you can give your team as a destroyer. Pew-pewing face-to-face with other vessels your own size is a fool's errand if you want to get silver lines and RP and also win matches. You'll notice that the enemy won on points, and they won because they were controlling the capture points, because they were spamming out those small craft. And so dealing with those small craft is the way to win matches. You'll notice that speed makes a huge difference in this game, as well as size. Those small, nimble craft can avoid bombs a lot better than the larger ones. As you saw, our bombs were probably going to take down that destroyer, not sure about that, but we definitely got a good kill on that, that river beast. With some good bombs there later on in the BTD. The amount of impact you can have on the battle as a destroyer is significant. Facing off against cruisers, well, we'll have to see. There's not a whole lot of that going on. But that's been a look at how the Fletcher performs currently in the game. And since we're here, since we have the time, how about we jump into our Cowl, which is again a Fletcher class destroyer, just like here, except it has more 40 millimeters. So we'll pull a test sail here. It looks like the radar fuse high explosive rounds are effectively the same as the standard high explosives. So we're going to compare those with the APHE just to see how things have changed. And apologies if you hear some baby Looney Tunes in the background. That is my baby entertaining herself with some screen time. So first off, I'm kind of curious. Let's shut off the auto gunners. I'm kind of curious about how things will work with the high explosive rounds against smaller craft now. So previously, hitting a small craft with high explosive didn't do a whole lot. So we'll see how it works now. I think a little more spalling, but no hull break with the 127s. Although it appears to be a lot better at knocking out crew than it was before, so that's actually rather meaningful. Let's take a look at this LS and see what we can do to him. Boom! Yeah, definitely increased spalling against it. Did I just get bombed? Did you just bomb me, sir? Let's see how the proxy fuse AA works. Oh! At around 2 kilometers, fairly good reliability. So we'll test it against the destroyer. High explosive is looking up. This is arcade mode, so we don't need to check our range so much. And we'll just open up and see what kind of damage we do. What's the post-pen effect to these? Hey, mommy's home! Hi, mama! Anyway, guys, looks like high explosive has been buffed considerably, so try that out for yourself. The radar rounds are even more deadly than they were before. They did get nerfed quite heavily early on in closed beta testing, so they're getting back up to closer to where they were before, and I would consider that to be a bit more realistic. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.